everybody, and welcome to Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings. They finally have a home.
What's up?
Like the Wings, still riding that roller coaster, riding the struggle bus.
Beep, beep.
Got some numbers we'll take a look at today.
You know what the Wings could use is Miss Frazzle from the Magic School Bus to pull them out of that colon and back to the top of the league. Because, man, they have dropped some stinkers, man.
Yeah, they've performed well too, and we talked about that. In the last episode or the last couple episodes, there's been some ups and downs. Hey, Jim, what's going on, my man? One of the things that I think I'm gonna keep doing this whole season is going over where we stand, Mike, currently based on our massive shooting percentage a year ago that resulted in us finishing in third place in the NHL for shooting percentage. Mike, we're just a measly 0.4 points behind the 11.6 we were at last year. Mike, as of October 29th, we are at 11.2% going into, of course, tomorrow's game, or depending on when you're listening to this, tonight's game against the formerly undefeated, just lost to the Leafs 6-4, but the Winnipeg Jets. Oh boy, Winnipeg Jets are scoring a lot. Mike, we have
them at the perfect time.
It was Ansar Khan that tweeted out earlier today the top power play in the Winnipeg Jets will be facing the worst power play or penalty kill in the Detroit Red Wings tomorrow. So we're gonna have to cross our fingers that nothing. Everybody's nice and responsible tomorrow.
I was also keeping track of who leads the league in shots for. We're currently at 29th, but we've played 9 games, Matt. We have 223. The Ducks and the Wild are only behind us by 4 and 5 shots, respectively, and they've played 8 games. So we're going to find out if the Red Wings will be in last here in just one more Duck game, one more Wild game. And, Matt, the Capitals have 7 games played. They're at 203. So can they manage 21 shots in the next 2 games to put the Red Wings as the leaders of the least amount of shots per game?
This is when we get in trouble with our
what do you mean? Yzerman's really
with the
good
fan
at this
base.
stuff. Yeah.
when we lean really hard into how disappointed we are.
According to plan.
Yeah. We're going to take a look at some of those numbers today, Mike. Kind of cheating here to make sure I don't get too far ahead of myself, but we have a couple of games we don't need to talk too much about on a specific game because we're going to have some stats that have spanned the season thus far that I think are worth sharing, but we might as well take a look. Mike, I do want to start this conversation today with some positive notes because we're going to lead into some pretty good looking statistics from not only Moritz Seider, who is facing Mike, and we'll take a look at this again, the hardest competition across the NHL. He has the toughest assignment across the NHL again. Number 2 in the league right now, Simon Edmonton.
Wow.
Mr. Rookie. Well, I guess technically not a rookie this year, but
I was concerned we just made it look difficult. I didn't know we were actually playing the toughest matchup, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we'll take a look at those numbers, and I got a shout out to the Discord today who posted a lot of the images that we're going to take a look at. But these are from our good buddies at Hockey Stat Cards on Twitter. Just like this is at least the good call out. Moritz Seider, Simon Edmondson. Hey, who else is up there? Lucas Raymond. All of our boys. The core is intact. The Edmonton Oilers game, we lose in overtime. It kind of just, I don't know how you felt, Mike, watching this game. I'm not sure if you were able to catch all of it, but it just kind of felt like the goals were inevitable. The game tire, of course, the one in overtime, just was ugly. I mean, it was just everybody standing around, walking right in, and Draisaitl getting a little birthday present
I
for
think
himself and
it
puts in
was
the
like the
winner.
Red Wings had the exact same feeling that I did, where I thought if we lose this face-off to start overtime, it's over. We lost the face-off, and then we just folded.
But with all of that being said, Jim's right. Mike, we're in fourth place right now in the Atlantic Division. We're 4-4-1. So are the Canadiens. So are the Bruins. The Sabres are 4-5-1. The Maple Leafs are 5-4-1. But we're sniffing. We're still nipping at the heels of the Lightning. Panthers seem to be running away with it so far. They don't really seem to have a cup hangover at the start of this season. They're running at 7-3-1. But yeah, it's still not far from where we were last year from the
Yeah,
standings.
I think you could be less nauseated than you potentially could,
Yeah.
because we looked at the start of this month and said this is an incredibly difficult schedule. And my God, if we get a point tomorrow, that's 10 points. I think we'd be doing cartwheels for this October to get 10 points, especially with the Red Wings kind of dragging their feet. Kind of briefly, getting into this dump and chase that obviously doesn't work. At least, with this roster construction. And it seems like maybe they're actually going to go more to like a puck control offense. At least if Patrick Kane and Dylan Larkin have anything to say about that.
Well, so far, this was the big eye opener for me today, because we actually can look at this. What we're looking at right now for the podcast listeners is something we saw last year, where we are comparing the competition faced against across the entire NHL, and you can see time on ice against elite competition. And at the top of this graph is Moritz Seider, Simon Edmondson, also Ben Sherratt. Getting a little call out there, but obviously his numbers suck, because on the x-axis, axis, you're looking at Fenwick, or your shot share, right? You're talking about your percentage numbers, possession numbers there. And Ben Sherratt is a maybe 36%. But what's blowing my mind right now is Seider getting this tough competition. We're going to take a look at another table here in a second that'll show that Seider and Edmondson are also starting in the defensive zone most of the time. But again, Seider and Edmondson, the toughest opponents, facing their opponent's toughest lines by a mile, right? Compared against the rest of the NHL. But Edmondson, his numbers right now, Mike, he's actually got positive share of the puck. He's actually above 50% right now. Mike, this combo of Moritz Seider and Simon Edmondson, damn it all to hell, Mike. It is going according to plan, because these two they're killing it. Now,
I don't think, before you move on,
go ahead.
So the y-axis is time on ice percentage versus elite talent. Is that minus time on ice percentage for grit?
Sure.
I mean, it does look impressive. It also, they're deployed together, so I would hope that one of them can carry the other one. I wish I was more excited about this graph. Do we have any idea? I know it's kind of a mishmash in there. Do we have any idea where anybody else in our 8 defensemen might be?
I mean, you can lean in a little bit here. But no, but clearly everybody else is this big mess and jumble of player names and little dots here. Everybody's all over the place, but this is still, I get it. Like, I know what you mean. Like, we've been trying to pull ourselves away from like the moral victories, but you talk about being like going according to plan. This is the plan. Technically,
So
the plan wasn't to bring in Patrick Kane and win a Stanley Cup. The plan was to draft Moritz Seider, Simon Edmondson, and have them become one of the best tandems in the NHL. Go ahead. You said yeah. You said yeah
No,
quickly, so I'm assuming you want to jump in.
no, just that if we want to do a summation, they're winning the shot share percentage against people who are worth a damn.
For sure. Now this one takes it maybe a little step further. So now we're looking at next axis here of offensive deployment in the offensive zone, which you can see Sider, Edmonton are numbers 1 and 2. I should say numbers 2 and 1 respectively here. Or no, number 1 and 2. Yeah, I'm reading that incorrectly. Edmonton number 1, Sider number 2. For their offensive deployment, meaning they are actually starting most of their shifts in the defensive zone, and then measuring that against quality of competition again. And this is more or less just the way that I would consume this, if y'all were me, if you guys are looking at this right now, would just be, this is taking that last graph, and I want you to just sort of tell yourself, oh my God, this is so much better than I thought. From measuring Moritz Seider's performance, from measuring Simon Edmondson's performance, and how they're being deployed, not only against the toughest competition, but also in the defensive zone, and doubling down on the fact that Edmondson actually has less offensive zone deployment than anybody on this team, but still carries a positive possession number above 50%. Edmondson, my man, those stats, you're killing it. And I would have to confess, I'd been having some of those thoughts where I was just like, okay, Edmondson, like nothing really to complain about, but that's because things have been going well. Like it's just is one of those things where you kind of forget that you do want these guys to disappear a little bit, and that means they're doing their job. But yeah, look, that's the good news, right? Are we ready to
Yeah,
turn this?
no, I think this is nice to see because there's a couple, like your memory is really good at betraying you. So it's easy to remember like a few times where Simon kind of goofed up, playing a puck forward, getting out of his zone. But this is essentially telling you that the majority of the time, those plays that stick out, they stick out so much because, they're glaring, first of all, but they're rare instances. And for the most part, he's, been doing an awesome job as a young guy. So, yeah, I'm happy to see this. I'm curious to see what's on the next page, Matt, because I feel like this might be the peak of our numbers on these charts.
Yeah, I actually want to use like the transition here of Jim Johnson's comment. Sandin Pellikka cannot come soon enough. And we know with at least the highlights we've seen, there's a lot of offensive potential if we can get the Pelican over
Especially
here
if
in North America.
Yeah, if you're having ghost bear withdrawals like I am, watching him be another top point producer for defensemen.
So I would say there is potential here for an end game. There is potential for Edmondson and Moritz Seider to sort of own the defensive end and be as stifling as possible, right? Like we're giving up a ton of shots. We know that. We need those numbers to come down. But Jim also points out like you need to carry the puck in the offensive zone. And that's what that draft pick of Pellikka is supposed to be all about. Because you could look right now. This is as of October 28th. JFresh Hockey highlights, Mike, the entire NHL. He's got him ranked 5 versus 5 expected goals for per 60. This is not a measurement of percentage of like goals for versus goals against, and we get a percentage of what that looks like. No, this is just straight up. What are you bringing for? What are you throwing at the net every 60 minutes with your 5-on-5 play? Guys, if you're listening to the podcast, the Red Wings are number 32.
Wait, how many teams are in the NHL?
Unfortunately, 32, Mike.
Oh!
JFresh did not. There's nobody missing from this chart. And the Red Wings aren't just, Mike, they're not just last. They're last by
comfortably
a little
last.
bit here. Yeah, like they're going to have to do some damage for a little bit here to actually like start sniffing 31, 30, 29, 28. Because they're at 1.97 compared to the Blue Jackets, who are at 2.13. And look, I what we've shown so far, I think goes back to Jim's comment. I think this is about having an offense that's winning, some zone battles, actually some face-offs, because a majority of those guys were actually starting in the neutral or defensive zone, not starting in the offensive zone. And I don't know. This is kind of scaring me. I think we do obviously need some more talent on the blue line, but this is where the numbers start to reflect like, okay, we are 4-4-1. We have a couple of wins against the Nashville team that was super duper struggling. But outside of that,
We totally lost your phrase there. We heard "Sue" and then it died out.
Oh, super duper struggling.
There we go. Yeah.
There we go.
I didn't know if you meant super duper awesome or yeah.
Yeah. No, a couple wins against Nashville, who are super duper struggling. And when you start to like think about stuff like that, then you just start to put up like these other problems, and you could see how things can just start to balloon on you if we can't start like if we can't get possession of the puck. I know we can play this game like we did a couple weeks ago, where we made the argument against the New York Islanders that they do not have enough offense where if you could keep them to the perimeter, you could win a 1-0 game. And I was celebrating that. I was like, wow, look at what the Wings did to the Islanders. They got a goal and they basically said, okay, we're done in the offensive zone. We are just going to shut down the Islanders in the defensive zone. Well, you tried to do that against Edmonton, or at least try to push them out to the perimeter. And Connor McDavid was having his way with you. Leon Draisaitl, of course, gets a couple. Like that. That's where you're just like, it doesn't matter what you did. Those super duper stars were going to start to cave in on you. And that's the scary part of all of this was, at least what we've seen so far, is that it does kind of feel like maybe our win total right now at 4 maybe should be a little bit worse. Because it doesn't really get much better on the goals against side, Mike.
Oh,
we are 26th in the league. Yeah.
Yeah. If they swallow the whistle, we're guaranteed a loss. This isn't good.
Yeah. For anybody, again, on the podcast, we are 26th. We are 2.71, 5-on-5 expected goals against per 60. And don't forget, this is 5-on-5. We're also the worst penalty kill in the league right now.
Not ideal.
Not not great right now.
Ideally, you don't want to be last in all of those things. Maybe
yeah,
one of them. But again, I guess I would say this isn't even a 10-game sample size, right?
Right. No, you're right.
And we only have a couple games since the dreaded 11-shot game. And I do feel like there was a noticeable change in strategy after that game. Like it to me looked like Kane said something to Lalone, or he said something to somebody. Like this I'm 34 years old. I have one hip. I can't do dump and chase. If you want to do dump and chase, you might as well trade me, because I can dump it. I can give chase. I'm going to win 0 of those battles because the puck's already going to be coming back the other way.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Who lost who? Oh, there you are.
This is the square peg in the round hole. It doesn't work. We don't have the guys to do that. You can't sign Patrick Kane and Tarasenko and then tell them to dump and chase. It's not going to work. It also, Matt, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but Larkin also looks. It's not that it's like he's. I don't want to say neutered, but asking him to.
But here we go.
Concentrate on being a defensive forward instead of a scorer is devastating to our 5-on-5. Devastating, because he's usually our best option. He's our fastest player. He's got skill, and just asking him to cover McJesus or Draisaitl, I get it in theory. I get it, right? You
Yeah.
think that you're going to try and slow them down, but I don't know. You got to ask one of those other defensive forward lines to like make that their job. We don't care if you cross like into the other half once. Just don't let them score. Don't let them get a good shot. Keep them on the perimeter, and then we're gonna actually use Larkin to try and score. Like it doesn't look like a successful recipe to try and ask him to be defensive forward, right? I apologies to Datsuk, who could do both of those things. He also is on a team with a lot of depth, right? So he could play defense and offense. But Larkin, we need his offense so badly. I can't afford to also make him our defensive stopper. It's not something that we can ask him to do for 82 games because no hockey player is going to have that kind of energy. So I hope that they're pivoting away from that because I'd like to win some games. You and I are going to be in attendance tomorrow, and I
Yeah.
hope that they do that.
I like Dan B's comment here. Clerks, I'm not even supposed to be here today. Jim, bring back Nick out of retirement. That might be our best option. Jim, the loss to the Pens right off the bat was somewhat of an indication what our D is up against. You ain't kidding, Jim. Dan B, last in shots, last in expected goals, last in penalty kill. Seeing a trend here. Yeah, I mean, one of the pieces here, like, we've got to keep an eye on, and I love that you called out Lalone, the dump and chase. Is this going to work for the age of this team and where that was headed? But keeping an eye on that and seeing what this team is trying to do going forward, and are they making adjustments, and are they actually working? You know what? Are they making adjustments? Let's analyze that first, because if they try multiple things and it's still not working, I wouldn't say that there were a ton of people who are like, oh, excuse me. There weren't a ton of people who are like, Tarasenko coming in, cup, we got it. It was a lot of like, okay, you're gonna fill out the roster now. You have a guy who can shoot, but struggles defensively, as does Patrick Kane, as does the rest of your defense. So it's just it is one of those things. I mean, back to Jim's point, like an indication of what our D was up against. It's also for some of these games coming to fruition what we all were fearful before the season started. So as much as I want to, Mike, bash Newsy here, because I think you are 100% right. I think if we can see some real adjustments being made on how this team is attacking offensively, getting the puck out of the zone, at some point we're going to look back at how free agency went and we all were like, what the hell is this? And then we all are going to remember that we said that in 2023 and 2022. And then we're just kind of go, okay, I guess this isn't all on Newsy, because I got to say, Mike, if they end up with 4 wins, it's exactly what we predicted a month ago. So I'm not trying to pat ourselves on the back, but it's not like we didn't see a struggle coming this month. But
I'm going to ask you a difficult question, because we haven't really seen them do it. I'm just going to go down the roster and you tell me dump and chase or skill. We're just going to count how many dump and chasers we have. You ready?
Yeah, go.
Larkin.
Do you want me to say I think they should be skill, or are they dumping and chasing?
What they would be best at.
Oh, skill.
Lucas Raymond.
Skill.
To break it.
Skill.
Andrew Copp.
I'm going to give... he's slow. I don't know. I guess you can dump it to somebody else.
All right, we'll do a half on that one.
All right, yeah, can I get a halfsies? Kind of the same. We'll just lean on skill, I guess.
Tarasenko.
Skill.
Patrick Kane. I don't even know why I'm asking.
Skill.
Rasmussen.
Dump and chase, but he's slow.
I still feel like he's also skill.
Okay.
Like, he's the biggest 6'6" skill guy that you could possibly
I
he's not gonna hammer you on the boards. I mean, he can check because he's 6'6", but that's not what he goes out to do. Like when he scored that empty net goal, that took some finesse, like to bring it off the backboards and scoot it around back in front of the net before he bodied what was that, Hughes?
yeah,
Um,
I see what you're saying, 100%.
I still would say if we're doing a split, I think he's closer to being skill than just a guy who's gonna hammer it on the boards. Joe Veleno.
I guess skill.
Christian Fischer?
Can I please have Fisher dump the puck?
I would say yes, that's what I would see
Okay.
him doing. So that's
Okay.
if we've made it 10 guys, 10 forwards down the roster, we have one who I confidently feel could dump and
I
chase.
No, and I'm starting to see what you mean too, because even with Rasmussen and his size, like you would have said, like for sure that's his bread and butter is winning those board battles. But in actuality, you're right. That's where we see him attempt to create offense is when he's trying to be nimble with the puck and deke and make some moves. So you are right. But yeah, here's
We're almo
Dan B with the comment here. Moose, he doesn't play 6'6". He plays more like 5'10".
Boom, roasted. Got him.
JWT, what's up, man? Good to
How
have
you
you.
doing? I think he was referencing a TV show the other day, and I forgot to reopen Discord to talk about it with him. I don't remember what it was.
Um,
It might have been Zodiac or something.
ooh, Jim
But I
Johnson
have
last year.
I have a few more. We'll get through this exercise. It's just
Yeah,
Marco Casper.
I I would say skill.
Same. Oh my god, I don't even know why I'm asking this one. Bear Grin, skill,
Skill.
and Tyler Mott.
Mm, can we go halvesies on that one? But he is a little guy, so you'd think he'd need some skill, but littler guy. But yeah, it's probably a dump and chase. So you've got two guys out of your
Yeah, like
how many forwards
two
did
and
you
a
go
half.
through?
I think we went through about
Was that 14?
yeah.
Well, Mike,
So I'm just saying.
sometimes
I'm just
you
trying to
gotta
make that point. Like
you gotta
Lalone
play.
he was hammering that thing. We're just gonna dump and chase and dump and chase. And I was just like, this is not this is not what this team is constructed to do. It's why I don't know who had the idea. Did he have the idea? Was he trying to prove something to Iserman?
It sounds like Kurt Russell from what was that movie called? The Dream?
Miracle.
Miracle. The Dream.
Do it again. Yeah.
Again. Um Guacamole. Guys, I just realized something. Sider always ends up at the top of the hardest matchup statistics because he's the only top defenseman that doesn't get to play against
See,
the Red Wings. Guac.
shame
Oh
on you,
man.
bad boy over
That's
there. Bad.
that's some spicy
That's a
guac. I
brown
gotta say.
guacamole. Yeah.
But JWT, I'm glad you joined our Discord because you ask some very good questions all the time. You know what? Honestly, it just feels like you're my burner account sometimes. But what is this team constructed to do? And I don't know. I questioned that before the season started. I wanted a little bit more of a like, what is this identity supposed to be? And then we were like, no, put Comfort, Tarasenko, and Kane out there at the same time, and maybe they'll be able to keep up with
Well,
somebody.
it's like with the
And
skill, like puck possession, right? If
yeah,
that's your choice, I mean, I think we can see where there's skill enough to make the power play look good at some point once they get a little grease, right?
yeah,
Um, like Kane, Tarasenko. I don't think you can doubt Tarasenko still got his shot. Raymond, Larkin, those are skill players to break it. The problem is it's hard to get power plays when you're doing dump and chase with that roster. Like they're not even going to win the fray to get to the point where you can draw a penalty. But Kane deking around two or three guys coming across the blue line, that's going to be a play that's a little bit easier for him to draw a penalty while he's just playing keep away from less skilled players. So I feel like you're really damaging the entire like infrastructure of this team by force feeding them the dump and chase. They don't have the personnel to do it. You're taking away power play opportunities. It's a nightmare. It's starting to turn around, right? It looks like they're starting to get away from that again. I don't know who got in Lalone's ear to force them to do that. It's an unwatchable product for this team. And it's not a successful product. So it's not even me being selfish. It doesn't lead to wins, and it's awful for the viewership.
Yeah, it's tough, and it's even like this is this is us. I missed you a couple weeks ago, Mike, because or maybe it was 3 weeks ago. We went pretty hard, especially after the first couple of losses. I did want to call out JWT saying now I have an existential crisis. um, and JWT calling out, nor does it help when the other team can lock them in their own zone on a whim. Holy mackerel. Did you see that 2 minutes last night where Edmonton probably could have scored 3 or 4 goals?
Yeah,
Talbot was just standing on his head. Dan B, you don't have to be as skilled as the Russian 5 to play like them.
You know what's interesting is we've given Yzerman a lot of grief for the Husso move not really working out, but
Yeah.
he did find Lyon. He did get Talbot, and he wasn't our favorite goaltender because he's, as a person, kind of a piece of crap. But Reimer actually did have some pretty good starts as a goalie for the Red Wings. So I think we've proven, okay, I think we could stomach the regular season with Lyon and Talbot. That's not the problem. It's figuring out this offense, trying to give them more opportunities to score. And then if you want to throw in Jim Johnson in there, did we just read that one? No. They want to keep the puck out. This is per Jim. They want to keep the puck out of the net. But if you didn't have those 2 shutouts, we are back where we started from.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine what this would look like right now? Especially just these numbers. Like,
what about 2-6-1, Jim? How does that feel? Whew. That gives me some bubble guts.
Yeah. Jim thrown out there, Lyon and Talbot have been solid. We're looking right now at the goals saved above expected leaders from October 28th. It's actually pretty similar, even October 29th. But Alex Lyon right now, 7th in the league at 4.6 goals saved above expected. Of course, for anybody not familiar with that statistic, that means that you have a number of goals you are expected to give up based on where the shots are coming from, rebounds, and of course we just have a sheer number of shots going at the net are going to add to the expected goals. And Alex Lyon, based on what he's given up, has saved the Red Wings again 4.6 goals. On how many games has Lyon actually played? Is he saving like a full goal every game? Which is, I think last year I just heard like Connor Hellebuck's, Vezina season nominate or voted on, whatever nominee do we call him a nominee? He ended up having like 29,
like an Oscar.
Yeah, so he ended up with 29 goals saved above expected. So Alex Lyon is actually on a pace right now, if he could play half the games this year, to have a better goals saved above expected than Connor Hellebuck. So that's how well Alex Lyon has had to play.
Lyon has been unbelievable. I didn't realize his save percentage was at 94. I know he's getting peppered with shots, but that is ridiculous. He's leading in something else too. Oh, goals against. He's top 5. So I mean, this guy's been having a hell of a season, and it's wild that they asked him to put on a sweater, like I know sweater is a wrong choice because we're talking about hockey. Put on a sweatshirt and watch game 1 from the stands when he's far and away our best goalie, far and away one of the better goalies in the whole league right now. I just wish we could give him a little bit of offense,
Yeah, you just called out his 94 save percentage. Evolving Hockey has him ranked number 2. But behind Jonathan Quick, who's only played 2 games. So Alex Lyon has a 94.15%. And if you want to say, compared to all starters, he's number 1 in the league right now. It's just crazy. But yeah, that was Mike. Hey, that was good enough to get us to 500. Woo! Woo! Boom!
Who threw that comment in there? Oh, Dan B saying hopefully Lyon doesn't get burned out again. I think there's a lower chance of that just because Talbot hasn't looked like a baby with a full diaper. Like he's actually looks like he can handle himself out there.
It
unless
was.
unless you have a slap shot that's 95 miles an hour, then he does have a little bit of trouble with 95-mile-an-hour slap shots from the blue line.
Didn't he take like a either him or Lyon took the hardest shot ever recorded in the last couple of games.
In the
Yeah, it
Biscuits?
was Tage. It was Tage Thompson blasted like 115-mile-an-hour shot, and then it
Jesus.
fell right in front of Lyon, and then was put in the back of the net.
Mm.
But yeah, guy's got man. I don't know. It's got to be the torque, right, of like a 6'8" body that can.
Yeah, kind of like a hockey Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah,
You know, he's kind of
yeah.
a bigger dude, and he's still throwing 100. And he's like 38. Did you know that?
No.
Chapman's been in the league that long. I feel like isn't
Wow.
that wild?
That's crazy. Jim wants to know what's going on with Husso. He left the game after 2 periods for the Griffins. Kosa came in, Mike, and went 21 for 21. I know. Can you believe he gave up 21 goals? No, 21 saves for Sebastian Kosa in relief. Husso's now labeled as day-to-day. They say this is a part of lingering issues, is where the concern's at, but it is a minor injury. But again, this would have been the fear if you were Villy. Like I do not want to have an injury this early in the season because he's already, you bring in Talbot not because you were so confident about Husso's ability to make it through the season. It was exactly for this that you would bring him in. But yeah, he's Husso's day to day. His return does not feel likely anyway. Talbot and Lyon, like we just talked about, are doing the job. But JWT 7 foot 46-inch Tage Thompson has a hard shot. I am stunned. Is it time we get like just Soderblom just set up like you remember in was it the first or the second Mighty Ducks movie with the
Oh,
kids
that
where they
kid who
just
could
had
just
that
stand
kid
still
who
and
just cranked him? Yeah.
yeah, could put pucks through a brick wall. Yeah.
JWT lingering issues with the multiple lower body injuries that shelved him last season. I need a 35 LTIR jersey. Oh man. JWT killing him. I love it.
You know what makes me kind of sad, by the way, guys?
Yeah.
You just asked for what's going on in the minors. Our qualified leaders, like for scoring, they're not really up there for the AHL. That's fine. We're winning because Sebastian Kosa. If you thought Alex Lyon was good, Kosa's save percentage is 95.4%. His goals
Woo!
against is 1.54. He's 4-1 on this young season. Yeah, I think he's going to be okay. The only thing that might give you pause if you're a little skeptical of these numbers is Ville Husso's goals against is 0.7. So, I mean, he only played 2 games, but you know, a little different competition down there, man.
So going into tomorrow night's game, Mike, you got the
Big
Winnipeg
game.
Jets. You got the
Yep.
Winnipeg Jets, who are also struggling 5-on-5, but not quite as much as the Wingdings. But it is going to be the special teams game, which we've been ragging on the Wings quite a bit for the 5-on-5 play. The special teams, like just flipping on its own head of the best power play versus the worst penalty kill.
The unstoppable force meets the movable object.
I am curious if the Red Wings can just play, like, can you just focus on being responsible tomorrow? Because you can keep this game close and you can win in the third period on a close game. But if this starts to get ugly, and this will be a true test too for Lalone, is keeping keeping everybody's head screwed on tight tomorrow. I really do think that'll be something new for us to measure tomorrow. And I know now we're getting outside of the dump and chase, the strategies.
Yeah.
And if these guys can't keep their heads screwed on tight tomorrow, frustrations are starting to set in. You're officially under 500 after 10 games.
Well, I
Not
want to throw
looking
a few
great.
things in there.
Yeah.
J Dub saying in reference to Kosa. He saw Trey Augustine at Prospect Camp, did a little fire. So I'm not backing up a Spartan. And then JW, I don't know if this is how you meant it, but I read it as Jim Ross. By God. There's something. And Tanby saying, hopefully Hellebuck is partying with his hometown buddies in Wisconsin tonight, and he'll drop a crapper tomorrow in Detroit.
Fingers crossed.
I gotta say, not just that dump and chase, but that trap style on defense. Knowing that we don't have the personnel for that, this team was at its best when it felt like no lead for the other team was safe because we had so much offensive firepower. Like, we're going to come back and score goals on you. So go ahead and go up 3-1. We're probably going to score 3 goals in this period, and it won't matter. We're going to beat you 4-3. My problem with the trap and the dump is that is terrifying. This is what's entering my office right now.
Ah! Wow. Well, guys, now we know Mike's fetish.
So that is terrifying.
Oh my God.
So my Halloween costume is supposed to be Precious from Silence of the Lambs. And now I think I'm just going to have nightmares for the rest of my life.
I'm
not even 100% sure that was Becky, to be honest.
I'm
Happy
speechless.
Halloween, everybody. Jesus fucking Christ, that was scary.
Jared, throw it out there. Mike's a furry. I think we might have just learned that, guys. I don't know. I'm really scared.
I feel like Blair Witch right now. I'm so scared right now, and like a snot's gonna come out of my face.
I have no idea what to say.
Let me try and get us back on track.
Yeah.
When you play that trap style, right? You get a 1-goal lead, and then you're just gonna commit yourself to playing defense. You play so tight. And I feel like it's not a fun game. It's just intense for you because all you want to do is stop the puck. And I feel like there's this mental wall that gets broken when you say we're just gonna, use our skill to try and outscore the other team. It feels like the team was more relaxed. The team was more successful. That's when we had our big winning streak last year. And yes, Jared, we are on track for once. Almost, kind of. Unless another poodle mask comes walking in. What the fuck was that?
The title is Red Wings Struggling Possession Game. I feel like we've landed on that. We've landed on that pretty hard. God damn it, Jared. Plus, my camera's working this time.
Wow, you were doing radio last episode?
Yeah. That
was man. Weird. Woo-hoo-hoo. Hope you guys are okay not seeing Matt's Funko collection. Yeah, do you kind of agree that as far as like the mentality of what it's like to be a hockey player when they're asking you to just protect this lead and don't fuck it up versus, if they score a big deal, we'll go on offense. We'll get one next time. Can you get on board with that? Or do you think that's a little too lenient?
I think it's way more fun to watch. I think you would have to come back to our earlier conversation and, JWT's call out, right? Like, how are we built? And we're not built with guys like Tarasenko and Kane to be that defensive team, right? Unless we're rolling out. I mean, I guess we're supposed to say, despite their numbers, that Kopp, Rasmussen, and Fisher are always killing it when they go out there defensively, which hasn't been entirely true. But everybody's struggling. I think I just saw Patrick Kane's at like 34% expected goals for percentage. That's not how Patrick Kane scores goals, Mike. He doesn't score goals by sitting in the defensive zone 76% of the time. So like Kane can score in a heartbeat, right? Like, he can just turn a game around because he's decided he's going to control the puck for a little bit. But it's just, it's so confusing how we've come to this point. And for sure, we could go on a 10-game winning streak. And then, Mike, we will analyze that and say, how did we get here? But from what we've seen so far, this isn't making any sense. It's not.
Jim Johnson thrown in there. I believe scoring is up this year in the NHL. Look at the goals against average in the league. I'm not going to push too hard on that. I will say it's potentially up for the rest of the league, but not the Red Wings, who are scoring 2.78 goals per game. And they're giving up 3.11, so they're still averaging a loss.
Well, I do want to call this out as we're going through this and trying to figure out how they can win. But they are, if they can start to possess the puck a little bit more. Let me just read this. Average expected goal value of a 5-on-5 shot attempt. Average expected goal value. Quality of shot attempt against the Red Wings are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th in the league. 7th in the league. They're doing a pretty good job. Looking at this from Jay Fresh, which is quality per 5-on-5 shot attempt against. If they can hold on to the puck just a little bit more and figure out the offensive side, they're doing the right things in the defensive zone to limit the quality of the shot attempts. They're also in the middle of the league for their opponent missing the net, and they are in the middle of the league for blocking shots. So they play aggressive enough to force their opponent to miss. They play aggressive enough to block some shots, at least in the middle range of the league. But yeah, I feel like there's something there. And we saw it with the Edmonton insider numbers too that we talked about earlier. But it could be, I don't know. It could just be we're trying to own what we're doing, not necessarily the puck, but controlling the game in the neutral and defensive zones. So we're playing further back, keeping the shots to the outside, which we've talked about, really after the first couple of games, the Red Wings really started to shut down their opponent, especially going back to like the Islanders game, where despite only getting 10 shots, Islanders really got no real quality chance on net. So if they can like own that and kind of, we watched the Detroit Lions destroy the Titans this past week, despite like no pass rush. And this team just knows who needs to step up when, because they all believe. Lions are number 1 in the power rankings, not just because of the team they put together, but because they believe. I think if they can lean on the fact that something is working here and try to add something to it, it might be mixing these lineups a little bit more, maybe giving a guy like Casper a chance. Maybe it's just going down to Grand Rapids, or maybe it's just me who's not patient enough. But either way, there's something here. Something here.
There's something there. I don't think this is a team that suddenly forgot how to play hockey. I don't know. That's going to be my main takeaway so far from this season. Please coach the players that you have. I'm sorry. Dump and chase in the long run is probably how you win a cup. We're not constructed to do that. We're constructed to play puck control. You have that. I would emphasize it. Make it your offense. And Dan B just got a lifetime ban from Red Wings Rant as a commenter for suggesting Darren McCarty as our power play coach. If you meant as power play coach, that's a lifetime ban. If you did mean PP coach, like you typed it, then that's okay. Yes, he could be our PP coach because he is a PP.
Jim with a great call out here. Wings were 6-3-1 at the 10-game point last year.
God, what a year it was. It's in the playoffs again.
Well, look, guys, we are out of talking points. If anybody's coming to the Winnipeg Jets game, and the last game, somebody reached out to me on Instagram. I'm not paying attention to that, I guess. If you guys are on Twitter, I felt terrible because I said reach out, and then I checked Instagram and we were in our seats, and I was like, oh, somebody did reach out, and we just couldn't make the connection. But yeah, if you guys are out there, try and hit me. I'll get the Twitter notifications. I don't like my Instagram notifications, so I'll try and turn them on, but rely on
Or the
the
Discord.
X. Yeah, the Discord. What am I talking about? Join the Discord, Mike. Good call. All right,
Dan, how dare you? I broke the streak against the Devils. You guys are welcome. I was at that game. We scored a lot of goals. We were playing up and down hockey. Oh man, it was fun.
yeah. So Dan's call out was the losses on YouTube tomorrow. I think we've laid out quite a bit of evidence that that's not the case, Dan. There's
There's
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
things
games we
riding
haven't
against this
attended.
roster. Yeah.
There's a lot of games we haven't attended. Dan B, Dan Peepee.
All right, guys. We're gonna sign off. Anybody there? Come find. We're in the we're in the lower bowl.
Oh, thank God.
Tomorrow.
Not in
Yeah,
those awful drink rail seats.
Mike, you made a friend though. Or no, that wasn't at the drink rail. All right, let's sign off, everybody. We'll see you. Have a good one. I think we're good.
Nope. Still